Hello everyone, and welcome to my final FireRed and LeafGreen Kanto Starters solo run, and my third ever Pokemon Challenge video. I'm super excited to get this run started, so let's go over the rules. Rule number 1, no glitches, hacks, or cheats. I do, however, use speed up, otherwise these videos would take far longer to produce and I'd rather produce them quickly. Rule number 2, I can only use one Pokemon in battle. However, because I am not cheating, I do need to use HM Pokemon for travel purposes only. And lastly, rule number 3, no items in battle. This may change in future videos, but for now, this is what we're going with. I will note, though, that I am going to begin using Everstones as a held item in future videos, though not this video in particular. With all of that out of the way, let's begin. I start by choosing Squirtle, and then we check its nature. We ended up with a naive Squirtle, which means we'll have increased speed but decreased special defense for this run. That's fine, so we enter our rival fight. The fight is straightforward, and we just trade tackles back and forth. Eventually, Squirtle comes out on top with only one hit point left to spare. Talk about close. After we do our errand for Professor Oak and get the Pokedex, we head over to Route 2 and enter our second rival fight after some grinding. We start off with a bubble against Pidgey, doing minimal physical damage, but bringing untold anguish upon this poor Pidgey's mind. Pidgey uses sand attacks and tackles against us as we continue to flex and assert dominance with bubbles, until it finally faints to an unnecessary and brutal crit. Bulbasaur is up next, so we go for a Tail Whip to lower its defense. We miss because of the sand Pidgey put in our eyes earlier, and unfortunately we're hit with a tackle. We land our Tail Whip next turn and get hit with another tackle. The following turn we withdraw to increase our defenses, knowing that Bulbasaur at this point only knows tackle. We then begin trading tackles, and despite both of us missing a few times, Squirtle manages to come out as the winner with 2 hit points left to spare. Very close calls for Squirtle this early on. We clear out Viridian Forest easily, learning Water Gun along the way. Upon arriving in Pewter City, we head straight for Brock, expecting an easy win. Starting the fight, Water Gun easily one-shots the Dude of Geo. Up next is Onyx, which Water Gun again absolutely obliterates, easily earning us the Boulder Badge. We run through Mount Moon and grab the Helix fossil, as is tradition, before continuing our journey to Cerulean City. Upon arriving at Cerulean City, we go straight for Misty. Misty, leading with Staryu, opens with Harden as we use Bite. The next turn, she uses Water Pulse, and we Bite again. Misty then uses a Super Potion as we again use Bite. Misty continues trying to use Water Pulse for the chance of confusing us as we continue to whittle Staryu down with bites. Fortunately, we manage to get through without being confused or having to deal with Recover Spam. Starmie is up next, who again goes for Water Pulse, but we land a crit Bite. Another Water Pulse and Bite exchange later, and we've taken down Misty, earning ourselves the Cascade Badge. Having taken care of Misty, we head north towards Nugget Bridge to take on our next rival fight. Our rival leads with Pidgeotto, but we outspeed and land a Water Pulse before Pidgeotto lands Gust. On the next turn, Pidgeotto hits us with a crit Quick Attack, but it doesn't do much. 2 more bites later and Pidgeotto falls. Bulbasaur is up next, and we Bite Spam for flinch hacks until it puts us to sleep. We're then hit with Vine Whip, doing a ton of damage against our poor turtle, but we wake up quickly for another bite of that cabbage to take down Bulbasaur. Abra is up next, who can't attack us at all, but knowing that Rattata is coming up, we opt to spam Withdraw so that Rattata can't quick attack us for the win. We quickly finish setting up on Abra and take it down to single bite. Remy the Rattata comes out next, who we outspeed and knock out with a Water Pulse. Remy never stood a chance. After helping out Bill, we head down to Vermilion City and challenge our rival on board the SS Anne. Our rival leads with Pidgeotto, who uses Quick Attack against us for minimal damage. We land a Water Pulse and almost knock out Pidgeotto, but he withdraws Pidgeotto for Ivysaur, who then takes a Water Pulse to the face. Next turn we go for Bite and get hit with Vine Whip. Next turn we land another Bite, but this time it's a crit, taking down Ivysaur. Pidgeotto comes out again and lands a Quick Attack, but we knock it out with a Bite. Raticate, Remy, is up next, who we hit with a Water Pulse while it hits a Hyper Fang. On the next turn we retaliate with another Water Pulse, knocking out Remy for the last time. Rip Remy. Kadabra is up next, who we outspeed with Water Pulse, bringing it ever so close to fainting. However, our Water Pulse confuses Kadabra, who then knocks itself out in confusion. Talk about an embarrassing loss. After seeing the SS Anne off, we ignore Surge due to his type advantage and instead decide to step into something I haven't really done yet in any of these challenge videos, EV training. Instead of traditional training, we make our way through Lavender Town, ignoring our rival in the Pokemon Tower for now. Instead, we go to Celadon City's department store, where we buy plenty of calciums to increase Squirtle's special attack as much as possible. This is something I did on a whim, but ended up having a massive impact later on in the video. Having used all of the calcium on Squirtle, we decide to take on Giovanni since his ground-type Pokemon will be easy to handle in comparison to Erica's grass-type Pokemon. Giovanni leads with Onix, who we easily outspeed and knock out with a Hydro Pump into the next dimension. Rhyhorn is next, who like Onix is sent to the next dimension. Last up is Kangaskhan, who lands a Fake Out against us, causing a flinch. Next turn, we land a Hydro Pump, but surprisingly, we fail to one-shot. Kangaskhan retaliates with a Bite, and on the next turn, we bite back, but still fail to take it down. It then hits us with a Tail Whip, but we go for another Bite and knock it out. I'm not sure why Giovanni is shocked, he's been a pushover for all of the runs so far. With Giovanni losing hair over getting spanked, we leave him and head back to Lavender Town to take on our rival in the Pokemon Tower. Our rival leads with Pidgeotto as usual, who we Water Pulse in one shot. Ivysaur is up next and we go for Bite hoping for a flinch, but fail and get Sleep Powdered. As we sleep, Ivysaur absolutely brutalizes us with Razor Leafs. Eventually, we wake up and land a Bite, getting the flinch that we were hoping for. One more Bite later and Ivysaur faints. Up next is Gyarados, who lowers our attack. Fortunately for us though, this is Generation 3, where Bite isn't a physical attack, but instead a special attack since it's a Dark-type move. We land a Bite and flinch Gyarados, then next turn we land another Bite, and Gyarados hits us with a crit Thrash, almost taking us out before we knock it out with another Bite. Growlithe is up next, who we easily one-shot with a Water Pulse. Lastly, Kadabra tries to stand up to us, but we bully and BM the poor thing with a crit Water Pulse, taking the win. Wanting to put off Erica and Surge for a bit longer, we take the Pokeflute from Fuji and head south to Fuchsia City to take on Koga. Koga leads with Coughing, who we Hydro Pump for a one-shot to prevent it from exploding. Muck comes out next, who we also Hydro Pump twice for the knockout. Another Coughing is up next, and we again Hydro Pump to take it down. Lastly is Wheezing, who we again Hydro Pump, but fail to one-shot it while it hits us with Sludge. Another Water Pulse later, and we've taken down Koga, earning ourselves a Soul Badge. Didn't take any chances with Koga's ninja nonsense this time around. I would love to continue ignoring Surge, not because we can't take him out right now, but just for the sake of ignoring Surge. However, I want to take on Erica after dealing with Blaine, but in order to fly back from Cinnabar, which I'd like to do to avoid surfing twice, we need Surge's badge. So, anyways, we start our fight with Surge, who leads with Voltorb. We're paralyzed before the fight starts because I'm lazy, and as a result, Voltorb outspeeds and lands a Screech. We take it out with a Bite crit on the next turn, though. Next up is Pikachu, who uses Double Team. We land Bite and one-shot Pikachu, though, so no big deal. Raichu is the last opponent, who outspeeds us with Shockwave, and we're paralyzed for the turn. Next turn, Raichu uses Double Team, and we land a Bite, almost taking it out. Surge Super Potions, and we Bite again. After one more Shockwave and Bite trade, we knock out Raichu, earning ourselves the Thunder Badge, and more importantly, access to Fly. After taking down Surge, we fly to Pallet Town and surf south to Cinnabar Island. The reason I wanted to save Erica for after Blaine actually wasn't for the easy levels from Blaine, but instead so that we could grab Blizzard from the Pokemon Mansion. This'll make Erica a cakewalk later, but for now, let's turn our focus to Blaine. Blaine leads with Growlithe, who we one-shot with Hydro Pump. Next up is Ponyta, who we also Hydro Pump for the one-shot. Rapidash is next, who goes down to another Hydro Pump, and lastly is Arcanine, who is one-shot with another Hydro Pump, earning ourselves the Volcano Badge. This was so satisfying after how the Bulbasaur run went. Finally, we go back to Celadon City to fight Erica. Erica leads with Victory Bell, who we one-shot with Blizzard. Tangela is up next, who we also Blizzard for the one-shot, and lastly is Vileplume, whom we also managed to one-shot with Blizzard. Yet another super easy fight that was absolutely awful in the Bulbasaur run. With Erica taken down, we head to Saffron City to free Silphco from the Rocket Takeover. Before we can fight Giovanni, though, we've got to fight our rival. Our rival leads with Pidgeot, who manages to confuse us as we miss our first Blizzard. Next turn, we one-shot with Blizzard, though, bringing out Venusaur. I wasn't expecting it, but we're able to one-shot Venusaur with Blizzard as well. Gyarados is up next, who we bite while it leers. We then trade bites and Dragon Rage, resulting in Gyarados fainting. Growlithe is up next, who we one-shot with Water Pulse. And last up is Alakazam, who is an easy one-shot with Bite. Honestly, Squirtle's moveset here is perfect for just about everything we've got to fight in this run. Very impressive fight that gives me hope for later. After embarrassing our rival again, who for some reason didn't challenge Giovanni himself, why was he even here? Anyways, we challenged Giovanni. Giovanni leads with Nidorino, who we almost knock out with Water Pulse while it lands a crit horn attack. One turn later, we knock out Nidorino with a Water Pulse. Nidoqueen is up next, who we Water Pulse and Confused, but she manages to land a Body Slam through the confusion anyways. We land another Water Pulse the turn after and knock it out. Kangaskhan is up next, who we try to Hydro Pump but miss while it uses Rage. Next turn we go for another Hydro Pump and almost knock it out while Kangaskhan uses Tail Whip. Again. Really weird Tail Whips today, Giovanni. Anyways, we knock it out on our next turn. Rhyhorn is up next, who we one-shot with Water Pulse. Why is everyone so afraid of this guy? He's so weak and so very disappointing. After kicking Giovanni out of Saffron City, we're able to challenge Sabrina. She leads with Kadabra, who we one-shot with Bite. Next up is Mr. Mime, who we outspeed and Bite, but just missed the knockout while it uses Calm Mind. We go for another Bite, but Sabrina Hyper Potions. This time our Bite does less damage, but we outspeed on the following turn and knock out Mr. Mime anyways. Venomoth is next, who we one-shot with Blizzard. Last to face us is Alakazam, who we Bite and get a flinch. Sabrina Hyper Potions again, but we Bite again. And then we outspeed on the next turn to knock out Alakazam, earning us the Marsh Badge. We fly back to Viridian City, where we can begin our last gym battle against Giovanni, who I doubt will pose any threat to us considering how all these last few fights have gone. Giovanni leads with Rhyhorn, who we Water Pulse for a one-shot. Dugtrio is next, who also falls to a singular Water Pulse. Nidoqueen is our next opponent, who just barely manages to hang on an Earthquake after a Water Pulse. Giovanni Hyper Potions, and we Bite into a Water Pulse, taking out Nidoqueen. Nidoking is up next, who faints to a Water Pulse, and lastly is another Rhyhorn, who we also one-shot, earning ourselves the Earth Badge. With our last badge, we're ready to take on the Elite Four. But first we have another rival fight. Our rival leads with Pidgeot, who we one-shot with Blizzard. Next up is Venusaur, who we also one-shot with a crit Blizzard. Honestly, Blizzard is coming in super handy. Next up is Rhyhorn, who we one-shot with Water Pulse. Gyarados is next, who we spam Bite for flinch, which we do get the first turn but not the second. We then Hydro Pump after it uses Rain Dance, taking it out. Growlithe is up next, who is easily one-shot by Water Pulse, and last up is Alakazam, who we Bite, doing a little over half. But then Alakazam disables Bite, so we have to go for Water Pulse, which we get a crit with, giving us the win over our rival. It is so fascinating that our moveset is so solid against his entire team. I hope that means that the champion fight will be easy. Okay, so, story time. Lorelei was the single hardest fight in this entire run. Our moveset lets us counter everyone other than her, and her team revolves around status conditions that we just couldn't get through easily. We had to super level in order to get past her. This is also what I meant earlier when I talked about how fortunate it was that we used those calciums on Squirtle. Anyways, Lorelei opens with Dugong, who we Bite spam for flinches while it uses Surf and Safeguard. Dugong faints after our third Bite, and next up is Cloyster. Cloyster really just wants to set up Hail and Protect Stall, so it isn't exactly a threat, just the overtime damage from Hail. We manage to take down Cloyster fairly quickly, with Lorelei bringing out Slowbro next. We Bite Slowbro, doing considerable damage while it uses Surf. On the next turn, Lorelei uses a full restore while we go for another Bite. We go for another Bite to take down Slowbro without it yawning, thankfully. The Hail stops as Jinx is sent out, who we also thankfully crit Bite before she can Lovely Kiss or Attract. Last is Lapras, who Ice Beams as we Bite spam, hoping with all we've got for flinches. We do get a flinch and a crit on the next turn, finally letting us pass this Giga Chadette Gatekeeper woman. Up next is Bruno, who I'm expecting to be rather easy due to his team having a few Ground-type Pokemon and a lot of low special defense Pokemon. We surf Bruno's opening Onix, taking it down in one shot. Hitmonchan is up next, who survives a Surf and lands a Sky Uppercut. We then go for a Bite while Bruno uses a full restore. We then Surf again and knock out Hitmonchan. Hitmonlee is up next, who we once again just barely fail to one-shot. Hitmonlee uses Brick Break and we knock it out with Surf. Machamp is up next, who we again just barely miss the one-shot on with Hydro Pump, while Machamp uses Scary Face to slow us down. Bruno uses a full restore while we use a Surf. Next turn we still outspeed and use Surf, knocking it out. Another Onix is up next, who Earthquakes us before we land a one-shot Surf. Bruno's team was surprisingly tankier than I thought, and this is at max level with a bit of EV training. Agatha is our next challenge, who should be a pushover since we have Bite for almost her entire team. Agatha leads with a Gengar, who we outspeed and Bite, almost taking it out while it uses Confuse Ray. Agatha full restores and we go for another bite. On the next turn, we pull through the confusion and get another bite, knocking it out. Golbat is up next, but we hurt ourselves while it uses Air Cutter. On the next turn, we get a Surf off and one-shot. Arbok comes out next, which we take out with the Hydro Pump. Agatha's second Gengar is up next, which we try to Hydro Pump, but we miss while it lands a Sludge Bomb and poisons us. We then miss Hydro Pump again, while it again Sludge Bombs us. Finally, we get a Hydro Pump to land, and we one-shot. Agatha's last Pokemon is Haunter, who we outspeed and bite, one-shotting Haunter. Another really close fight despite being max level. Funnily enough, I don't actually anticipate any issues with Lance so long as we can land our Blizzards at least. Lance leads with Gyarados, who we trade bites with until Lance full restores. We then continue trading bites, one of which is a crit from Gyarados. Finally, we manage to take it down with one last bite. Up next is a Dragonair, who we one-shot with Blizzard. After that is another Dragonair, that we again one-shot. Dragonite then comes out, which we also thankfully one-shot. Aerodactyl is our last opponent, who we also managed to one-shot with Blizzard. Gyarados being the most threatening member on the team was surprising, as I expected Aerodactyl to give us a harder time like it had in previous challenges. Thankfully, Blizzard has been an absolute treat to have for this run. Now we're on to our last fight, the championship match. I'm pretty confident in our moveset, very much the most versatile out of all the runs that we've done so far. Our rival leads off with Pidgeot, who we one-shot with Blizzard. Venusaur is sent out next, who we miss with Blizzard while Venusaur uses Sunny Day. Next turn, we do land our Blizzard, doing some incredible damage while Venusaur uses Growth. We go for another Blizzard on the next turn, but our rival uses another Full Restore. However, we still get the one-shot. Alakazam is up next, who we outspeed and bite, also getting the flinch. Our rival Full Restores again, and we go for another bite. One last bite on the next turn, and Alakazam goes down. Rhydon is our next foe, who we one-shot with Surf. Gyarados is then sent out, who we bite spam, getting 3 flinches in a row. I don't know the odds of that, but it was super amazing on stream. Our rival uses another Full Restore, and we again start spamming Bite, getting a crit flinch, almost taking it down. Then our rival uses another Full Restore. After a few more bites, one of which being a crit, Gyarados finally falls. Last up is Arcanine, which we one-shot with Surf, finally earning ourselves the win. And just like that, the run is done. Honestly, this run was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Squirtle had the most versatile moveset out of all of our challenges so far, and it made it super easy to deal with a potential problem Pokemon like Venusaur or Pidgeot. This, in combination with my growing experience with these types of runs, has drastically lowered the runtime, even with the extra grinding that we had to do to get past Lorelei. With a final time of 29 hours and 16 minutes, I can safely say that this run was by far the fastest that we've done so far, coming out well ahead of Bulbasaur and roughly 20 minutes ahead of Charmander. Anyways, I streamed this run over on Twitch, which I plan on doing weekly. Also, if you like this video, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe, as it would help me out a lot. If you're interested in coming and hanging out, feel free to follow the link below to either my Twitch, my Twitter, or my Discord. This has been Shro, and thank you for watching.